So thank you guys. Today's another episode that we're discussing about how our environments can shape or how can our environment and our social circles can keep us broke. So thank you very much and karibuni sana kwa my channel. Elijah Enjoy. And as we start, I want to start by a quote by Bill Gates that it's fine to celebrate success, but it's more important to heed the lessons of failure. So it's always good to discuss or maybe to celebrate our accomplishments, but more importantly, it's also important to understand the lessons of failure and how failure shapes who we can become in future. So in our last episode, we talked about how our environments and maybe social circles influence how much or how far we can go. And we also learned that our social circles or maybe our social ties influences even the financial decisions that we make and maybe how we also shape our mindset, our norms, habits, and maybe keeps us broke forever. Um, we also came to understand that most of our social circles normalize the aspect of debt, and we have limited access to maybe resources, debt management, poor habits, and these ones make it very difficult for us to maybe have sound financial practices or maybe sound financial decisions that we make. And today I have got for you um some nice niches on wealthy habits that can make us reach to our goals or maybe attain our financial success, whether in business, in self-employment, or even in our normal or typical livelihoods. I've taken enough time to discuss and maybe to evaluate how the wealthy, maybe the different habits that the wealthiest people attest to, and I can attest to you that they pay themselves first. Um, in this case, most of the wealthy people have this habit of paying themselves first because they give priority to making savings and investments as a percentage of their income, whether from business or maybe from employment, before maybe paying for other sundry expenses. Paying yourself first gives you the leverage to maybe give preference to your investments. Maybe you also make sure that your investment accounts are running, and you also ensure consistency in building up wealth. So this is one of the greatest maybe this is one of the greatest habits that the wealthy often consume. If you take a look at most of the billionaires, they pay themselves first in a way that they have maybe 10 to 20, 10 to 30% of their income that they take to their investment accounts. So this one makes sure that as time goes by, their investment accounts are never dry. Another habit that I saw is that most of the wealthiest people have something that we can call mindful spending. They don't spend on expenses anyhow, or maybe what we can call thoughtless spending. Rather, they are aware of where their funds go. They know their monthly expenses. They have an idea maybe an estimate of how much they need to pay for their operational expenses. They know their budget. They're also able to track on their expenses, and maybe they prioritize maybe long-term investments and avoid maybe that immediate gratification. Um, in our last video, we talked about delayed gratification, where you sacrifice something today so that you can enjoy the maximum benefits tomorrow or maybe in future. So I've also came to I've also learned that most of the wealthy people avoid high interest debt. Um, when you talk about debt, high interest debt can also be used to refer to high interest rates like what you get in your credit cards. Um, if you are used to pay from your credit card maybe each month, it also attracts some interest in payments, and this one increases maybe your debt levels due to the increase in interest. So most of the time they opt to pay in cash. Maybe they also maybe repay within the shortest time periods to avoid any accruals towards those interests. Um, Another very critical thing that I've come to learn about maybe in the journey to becoming wealthy is that you need to learn out of books, because one of the biggest traits is that the wealthy have continuous learning and they invest in themselves first. Um, from my research, they don't read fiction books because fiction will always remain fiction, but they want to maybe most of the times they do read self-help and maybe improvement um, investment books, that or maybe those books that provide some financial soundness, resilience, and maybe um, give different tactics on how you can accelerate or increase wealth. Um, they also have maybe strategic social circles, because if you're rich, you have to surround yourself with people who are of like minds, people who can provide you with the necessary support, finance, maybe networking opportunities, mentorship, and those also can maybe positively influence you towards making sound, maybe financial and investment decisions. You also need to surround yourself with the go-getters, people who are not afraid of taking risks, and people who are able to maybe have long-term strategic goals towards building wealth, maybe towards making different levels of investments. Um, Lastly, most of the wealthy people are also strategic and they are long-term thinkers with clear goals in mind. Um, what that normally happens is that you can have different sources of incomes. Maybe you can also have different operational activities that make sure that each and every day or each and every week or month you are able to generate something. I think those are most of the common traits that I've observed about the wealthy, and some of the other things that other traits that they have, and they are very much conscious in terms of where and how they spend their hard earned cash. So when I talk about frugal, I don't mean that they are very mean in terms of spending, but rather they maximize value on what to buy, and maybe minimize waste in what we can call maybe a lean methodology, where you maximize the value of what you want to purchase while at the same time minimizing the waste that is likely to be generated from that decision. Um, Delayed gratification, yes, this is something that is very much common, where maybe the wealthy and the rich prioritize maybe their financial security over an immediate pleasure. In this case, you can opt to maybe invest in an income generating asset rather than maybe spending on a luxury item, maybe wristwatches, maybe iPads, and instead of maybe gratifying yourself with these short-term or maybe that immediate gain, you can choose to maybe purchase or maybe invest in an income generating asset, maybe like a mini car wash or something of that kind. And conscious spending also means maybe value, spending that is based on value. What I mean is that the way they do evaluate and analyze the long-term values of the purchases they want to make, how they're going to utilize it, and maybe their impacts on their net worth. So most of the times they are likely to invest in items or maybe in equipment that can improve their careers or maybe their lives instead of things I can dispose tomorrow. Um, so that is good. And I've also come to understand that the wealthy are very, very good marketers. Of course, they can even sell you hot air and they have good negotiation skills, which makes it maybe these skills are very, very much critical to one's making deals and ensuring that deals oftenly happen. Um, Last but not least, when I'm talking about maybe the conscious spending, I also want to talk about how wealthy people automate their savings and investments. And this is one of the tactical approaches to money that is proactive and growth oriented towards making a progression in their daily and day to day income generating activities. Maybe by automating your savings and maybe your investments, you automate the transfers to maybe your investment accounts, and you also ensure that you have a consistent bank account, which is one of the critical factors to accumulating wealth. So they also focus on maybe income diversification, where um, you seek to maybe double your income. Okay, diversify your income from time to time, maybe by investing in different channels. You can choose to invest in stocks, in stock exchange, in dividends, in real estate, maybe other side hustle, side businesses that can leverage your skills, maybe coaching, mentoring, also and also teaching. And another big component that we can also see is that the wealthy network with a purpose. So most of the time you don't park where you are not intending to invest. So that is unconscious spending. So once you have a very, very strategic social circle, maybe inclusive of mentors, maybe other business partners, financial experts, other people in different maybe niches or industries, your conversation will most likely zero on the different opportunities in the market the market trends, the growth strategies, and maybe are not the normal typical issues about politics and the likes. Um, by that one, maybe I improving your networking skills, you're also likely to maybe um create a system of continuous education and a positive mindset. So just like we've seen that most of the millionaires are vivid readers of books. They read extensively, maybe focusing on personal development, time management, financial literacy, reading biographies of other mentors and successful people. They're also willing to take risks and maybe seek for financial or expert advice. So the rich don't want to risk blindly. They want to hire. They do hire financial advisors so that they can assist them to make optimal decisions, so that they can also optimize and increase on their financial strategies. And before I forget, another trait is that they have clear goals that they can revisit tomorrow. So I like what I talk about most is that you think about an idea, you talk about it, and lastly you act on it. You can't act on an idea if you don't have the clarity of that goal in mind. So you need to have a clarity of goals so that you don't normalize making poor decisions. So you're likely to make poor decisions, maybe things that can highly or significantly affect you, like debt seeking, maybe social validation from your friends, and also maybe having a limited exposure to different opportunities and ideas in the market. So that is that for today. And we also need to understand that the wealthy also are also very, very much strategic in a way that they can distinguish between strategic versus maybe strategic versus toxic debt. So in accounting, there's something we call bad debts, those ones that last long or those ones that have high significance towards the investment in a company. So there's something I call good debt. Um, for instance, you can have a well or a properly planned mortgage or business loan that can build or maybe operate on the existing equity or income. So, on the other hand, bad debt can be viewed as maybe a strategy or high interest credit card debt for maybe depreciating assets, and these ones can affect your cash flow and maybe your investment portfolio. So that is for the wealthy, they have a strategic debts, and you don't take a debt that you are not willing to invest in. Um, and they focus more on maybe those assets that keep on appreciating. For instance, maybe different sectors in real estate, where you can generate income, maybe in stock or maybe other businesses, instead of choosing to work on businesses that can be a liability, or maybe you consume your income, maybe living lavish lifestyles. So the aspect of delayed gratification is the ability is a very, very good element, which is also a trait of the wealthy, in a way that they're able to resist the temptations of immediate rewards, maybe, or in favor of future rewards, or maybe long term rewards. So it's not easy as it sounds, because it means making choices right now or today that might not be very much enjoyable or happy, but can lead to more fulfilling and greater maybe outcomes in the future. So this is one aspect where the wealthy prioritize saving as compared to impulse spending, or maybe um unconscious spending, or maybe spending money on the things that you don't, or assets that don't seem necessary. Um you forego short-term pleasure for maybe greater fulfillment or a long-term reward. So this is one of the critical aspects where the wealthy often use this tool to accumulate their wealth, because they allow their money to compound maybe annually, um, instead of using those funds right now. It also improves maybe on financial stability, because it's very very uncommon to find a wealthy, or maybe wealthy people without an emergency fund. Um, these ones can be used to attend to maybe emergencies, and this is and can also be seen as a delayed gratification. So I don't want to give, maybe today I want to give an example where maybe in our country, in Kenya, where people maybe I'm assuming there is a 25-year old or a 40-year old or 50-year old who is self-employed and receiving a certain amount of money, can choose to forego an asset. Maybe you can choose to purchase a car, maybe a vehicle or something. But instead of doing this person chooses to maybe invest this amount of money in a mutual fund. So once this one happens, maybe you invest for a certain period of time, say 3 to 5 years, um you are preventing yourself from enjoying the instant gratification, and you are building upon wealth. So you're accumulating wealth by delaying or maybe avoiding unnecessary purchases and making more room for investments. So over time, these kind of investments are likely to grow through maybe interest or maybe capital appreciation, and compoundingly, this one can give you the best results forever by maybe these consistent investments. So therefore, delayed gratification is very very critical and can promote your savings, increase stability, and maybe help you achieve uh, your goals. um I think before I proceed, um I want to finalize by saying that for you or for me to um overcome impulse or unconscious spending, we need to have maybe take on these different elements. First, we need to identify the triggers, or what is causing you to spend on unnecessary item. Maybe it's your environment, or maybe it's your situation or stress. So by identifying these triggers, you are able to understand healthier ways of dealing or maybe handling these issues, and this one can prevent or maybe can shape up your spending habits. Number two, you can also maybe budget for small rewards. Once you're able to stick to your mid-term or long-term goals, you can choose to maybe reward yourself so that your body can you can feel balanced rather than deprived, or maybe you remove that feeling that you're depriving yourself so that you'll be happy later. So you can also the third thing is that you can also maybe choose to see you are not to maybe making unconscious purchases you view it as are not now. So in this case, you're not denying yourself to purchase an item, but you are choosing to wait. You are choosing to wait maybe for a meaningful or for a more or a better reward in future. So by having this positive mindset, you accelerate your thinking and make it easier for you to resist the urge to spend on unnecessary items. Um, Lastly, one can also choose to maybe use visual reminders to help you achieve or maybe keep your financial goals in line. Maybe you have you have a long-term vision of maybe building your dream home, maybe having a retirement savings. You can develop a chart to see how much are you saving towards your retirement, to what level are you able to invest, and also keeping in mind that you can also maybe choose to have a goal, maybe a midterm goal of maybe going out for a vacation. So you can develop a tracker to help maybe to have so you can have a visual framework of what you want to have in the long run. So these ones helps you to stay motivated and maybe focused on your goals. So we can say that maybe um, working on a delayed gratification is one of the best ways towards improving your financial literacy and your financial the future of your finances. So you can choose to save today, you invest and resist the idea of maybe the you can resist on unconscious or impulsive spending, and you're building up yourself towards getting a more prosperous tomorrow. Um, because by having that delayed gratification, you achieve your long-term goals, you secure your future. So thank you guys. I think we've had enough for today about goal setting, conscious spending, how to maybe practice delayed gratification, and also understanding toxic debts, good debt, bad debt, and maybe how our environment influences and our social circles influences how we are broke, or maybe how we remain rich. So thank you guys. Continue subscribing to my channel. Elijah Enjoy here. This is your number one financial literacy